Welcome to the show, everyone. This is the Voices of Healing podcast. I'm your host, Tina Clark. I'm a shamanic Reiki teacher based out of the Charleston, South Carolina area. And today's guest is also in the same area, Liza Alvarez. And she is a nurse practitioner and the founder of Sun and Alma Wellness. And, we have a lot to talk about today, but Liza and I we've known each other for a couple of years. And so welcome to the show.
Thank you. Like Tina mentioned, we've known each other for a couple of years. She actually was part of my healing process. When I moved here, after a very tragic loss, and I was lost in many forms of that word. And you were part of my healing process, and I'm forever grateful for you and your healing properties.
Yeah, so Liza came to me. She did a couple of Reiki sessions over the years, and she was deep into her grief, and we were able to move her through that in a gentle way. And it was amazing.
It was amazing. A little bit about me. You mentioned I'm a nurse practitioner. I've been in medicine for 21 years. Out of that 21 years, 13, 13 of it has been in critical care, surgical trauma, ICU. And the last 9, I've been a nurse practitioner in surgical trauma. And the last 5 years, I've been in general surgery. Though my story with holistic medicine started almost 15 years ago with my son Joel.
Yeah, so tell us more about that.
So when my son Joel was 18 months old, we were at the pediatrician, and as you have kids, you have to do they're reaching their markers or, expectations. And he had been up to that point, that me being in medicine and having some, extra knowledge, he was showing some regressive behavior. Like when we were at the grocery store and you have him in the car and, little people want to talk to your kid, he couldn't stand it. He couldn't be touched. He couldn't make eye contact. We couldn't leave the house without 2 Thomas trucks in each hand. There was just a lot of things that I was like, this is not normal. So, I did my research and I went to my pediatrician, loved him. And I was like, I think he's autistic. And he's like, no, he's been meeting all his markers. I'm like, no, I think he is autistic. And so they did a quick assessment in the office and he's like, I think you're right. And that started us down a path of behavioral developmental pediatrician, trying to get on the waiting list to get an official diagnosis, because that's who officially diagnoses kids. And that just a lot of red tape. He finally got his diagnosis. And I was devastated. You mourn this normal child and think about how difficult his life is going to be because of these social limitations, communication challenges, and then these restrictive, repetitive behaviors that kept us from going or leaving the house. And worst case scenario, these pediatricians at CHOP, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, they prepare me for worst case scenario. They're like, you should prepare for long-term care for him. If something happens to your husband, he most likely won't be able to go to normal school. And they're giving me just this doom glooms, and they're talking about medications. And I was just like, no, I don't know whose mom you think you're talking to, but this is not going to change my child's life. He's going to live a normal, as possible life ever. So I went down a rabbit hole and I started doing tons of different research. What causes autism? And sadly, you as a parent are going to find ample information for what contributes to autism. And I believe it's multifactorial. I believe it's genetics, genes, parents, and what we pass on to the kids. And greatly more than that, I think it's environmental. I think it's toxins along with deficiencies that all those 3 combined create this autism. Because I have a daughter who's older than him by 5 years, same parents, same environment, but she was born neurotypical is what they call those kids. So why him and not her? So I just went down through this huge rabbit hole. I mean, research. I'm in medicine. That's what you're taught, just research to learn. And sadly, you will find research to support any stance on autism. There's a big argument is vaccines, and they say, yep, that contributes. And then there's, nope, it doesn't contribute. And so I decided to do a complete 180 of our life. I wasn't sure 100% what caused his autism, but I knew that I was going to eliminate all the factors that could be contributing to his autism.
Yeah, I would consider the vaccines a toxin.
They are a toxin. There are toxins, there's metals in them, there's preservatives in them. And so I felt that was a contributor. And so I stopped vaccinating both of my children, and we eventually got fired from our pediatrician's office because of it. But that was just like one of the changes we made. I mean, we changed our life completely. I mean, I'm talking about the kind of water we drank, the mattresses we slept on, the laundry detergent we used, and the biggest change we made was food, was nutrition. I was like most parents, right? You're busy, you're on the go. It's just easier to use prepared food. And the more research I did, the more I learned that the chronic diseases in this country are caused because of inflammation, and inflammation is caused a lot by our American diet. And so I started eliminating all processed foods in our household. And let me tell you, when you have a 18-month-old and a 5-year-old, that is not the easiest task to complete, because especially for the 5-year-old who's been eating a regular American diet. And here I am, like, my best friend, his name is Marco Nieves. He was really big in research and really helped me make this transition. Like, one day I came home and everything was gone. Like, cupboards, fridge, like everything was gone. And I was like, what did you do? He goes, we're starting from scratch. And I was like, going to slowly transition, but nope, we just started from scratch. And let me tell you, those kids did not eat a real meal for a really long time. They just, they were just so used to the traditional American diet. It was a hard transition.
Yeah, it's hard with kids because they can be very picky. And I remember my daughter as a toddler eating yogurt 3 times a day because there was nothing she wanted to eat.
And that's okay, right? The pediatricians, people will say the kids will eat when they're hungry. Like, you're always worried about, they will eat when they're hungry. And so if it was yogurt 3 times a day, whatever it was that he would eat, and he ate like 3 things for like 2 years. Like, that's all that he would eat. And I was fine with it. That's all that he would eat. But he was growing, and he was, gaining weight, and so I just kept pushing forward.
So did you go organic as well?
We did. We went organic. We went local. We went no sugar at our house. For a while, we didn't do dairy. He's 16 now. Now we do raw cheeses and raw milk, but for a very long time, we didn't do dairy at all. Yeah, organic, local. I was saying, if you can't grow it, pick it, or kill it, you should not eat it. And that's kind of what we did. And I mean, it didn't limit what he ate either. Like, he still got chicken fingers, he still got pizza, he still got those good things, but we were making the chicken fingers, we were cutting the chicken breasts, we were dipping them, we were breading them, we were seasoning them, but all with organic ingredients. So that didn't really limit, it just became time consuming, and it can be financially a burden to eat organic. But I have a saying, either you pay now or you pay later with your health. And I much rather pay now and, make the investment in their health now and keep them healthy than having to pay in the, chronic diseases in our kids are up. And so, I mean, my son is 16 now, and God's grace, and I think our lifestyle, he's never even gotten sick. He's never gotten COVID. He's never gotten the flu. I mean, I've gotten the COVID, and he's taking care of me, and he still hasn't gotten COVID. I mean, his immune system is amazing. And I think it's because he has great microbiome. He has great gut flora, and it's all because of the diet that we choose to live by.
Yeah, and I think right now it's not even worth it to eat out. Like, we've actually make 99% of our meals at home now because we can cook better than these restaurants.
Better, what's in your food, where the sources are, where it's coming from, you can avoid seed oils. Yeah, us too. We 100% eat at I'm going to say 99% of the time we are eating at home. There's a few times that we go out and we'll have dinner out, but we try to pick farm to table places here in Charleston. There's such a variety of great farm to table organic restaurants. So we usually lean towards one of those if we're going to go out and then celebrate or enjoy a dinner out.
Yeah, so you noticed something was going on with your son at a very young age. And so you made these changes. And so what were happening with him at the time after you implemented the changes? Did you notice a difference in behavior?
So initially his communication regressed, his ability to communicate regressed, his ability to be around people or be touched by people was like he just could not tolerate it. And I'm Latina. I'm Puerto Rican. We are huggers, kissers. We gather every weekend with family and we see each other. And he cannot tolerate that socialization at all. He also was very, at that 18 months, that 2-year-old mark, he was very routine based. And like anytime we veered out of routine, he would have a total meltdown, like literally would lose it. I'd go to the gym every day and he would go into the gym and he'd close all the doors inside the daycare. They all had to be closed. And the girls that worked there laughed like, oh, Joel's here because, all the, like he had repetitive behaviors. And it's, most of those behaviors aren't even picked up by parents. Most kids get diagnosed later on in when they're in school because the teacher is the one who picks up on the behaviors. And that's when most kids are diagnosed. Most kids back in, to late 1990s, 2000s would be diagnosed average age about 9 years old. So Joelle got diagnosed really early because I just kind of knew some of the symptoms and I really was able to pick up that things weren't right. I didn't see a change in his behavior for years. Like, I think it could have progressively gotten worse. And I think that it didn't because all the changes we made, not only with the food, but we did stop Western medicine. And again, this is not advice and medical advice to anyone. This is what I chose to do for my child. But we just stopped seeing it. We got fired from our pediatrician. I just never found another pediatrician. So we stopped Western medicine. I didn't even do Tylenol. I didn't do Motrin. I mean, we didn't do Benadryl. We didn't do any Western medicine at all. We eliminated processed foods altogether. And then I started looking at our products, our soap, our lotion, our sunscreens. And again, those things I felt were big contributors. And so started making these things myself at home with organic products. I think I started seeing a difference with him probably when he started school. When he started school, I remember distinctly the behavioral pediatrician at CHOP said that autistic children have a very difficult time with empathizing, with recognizing someone else's emotion and responding to it. And Joel was very limited in that ability to be able to do that. He could tell, like he would point at me and be like, "Mommy's mad," and he could pick up. But he was my full-time job. I worked weekends as a nurse in ICU, a critical care flow pool, but Monday through Thursday, I was with him. And so he and I were very connected and he could pick up with that. The first time I realized our changes were making a difference was Mrs. Custard, his kindergarten teacher, called me and she's like, "Miss Alvarez, today Joel got up out of his seat and there was this little boy crying at his table and he walked around to the little boy and he patted him on his back and told him it would be okay." And I just started to bawl. I was just hysterical. She's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, he realized he was upset. Like, something they said that he would not be capable of doing because of his diagnosis. And here he was at kindergarten, empathizing and comforting another child. We definitely had our challenges throughout the years. But if you would see my 16-year-old now, he is social. He has a group of friends. He has always gone to regular school. I never separated him. We never did special education for him. He had an IEP throughout the years until his sophomore year of high school. He's learning to drive. This kid who would only eat 3 things now not only cooks all of his own food, and I mean like chicken fingers, pizza, like the kid will make homemade Alfredo sauce, but he eats everything. He will eat me out of house and home. He loves seafood. He loves steak. Like he just eats everything. If you met him now, you would never know that this was a kid that didn't communicate or talk until he was like 4 or 5 years old.
I love that. And I've had a couple of people on the podcast already that's been able to really help the autistic children. So I want to let people know that there is hope. There are things that you can do, and exactly what we've been talking about now. And it's not a diagnosis and that's it, it's over. There's nothing you can do about it. But you caught it early. What happens if, they're diagnosed later? Can the diet and the toxin-free lifestyle help them?
100%. You and I, adults. So early intervention is the best indicator of how well they will do. At early intervention, we also did speech therapy, we did physical therapy, we did occupational therapy. I mean, like I said, he was a full-time job. We were at all the therapies, but most kids are getting diagnosed earlier. Today, the CDC reports 1 in 36 kids are being diagnosed with autism or on the spectrum, ASD is what they call it, autism spectrum disorder, because it varies greatly. So 1 in 36 kids are being diagnosed. I believe it does not matter at what age you are diagnosed. You can be an adolescent, an adult. I 100% believe that changing your diet is the number one key of helping autistic children. So one of the things they find with autistic children is brain inflammation, and brain inflammation is linked to gut inflammation and not having a good gut microbiome. So what goes into your gut but your food? So doing an anti-inflammatory diet, providing clean whole foods, organic whole foods is imperative. And I think along with supplements, I think we did supplements. We did a probiotic, we did omega-3s, we did vitamin D, we did zinc, and I believe in supplementing micronutrients for kids who aren't eating a variety of food. And most toddlers don't eat a variety of food. So we supplemented a lot for him when he was only eating 3 things for like 2 years. And I think it's imperative to supplement. I think it's really important to make sure where you're getting your supplements from, the source of those supplements, because even supplements, if you read the label, have ingredients in them that they shouldn't. I was using this magnesium supplement and I looked and it had like sunflower oil in it. And I like literally emailed the company. I'm like, all these ingredients are great, but you have sunflower. She goes, thank you for noticing. We're switching to MCT oil next month. And I was like, awesome. That is such a great change. I will continue to use your product. But I think changing diet, no matter what age, I think for adults, changing diet is imperative to reducing inflammation and healing the gut and healing tons of chronic diseases, not just autism, but things like diabetes and Alzheimer's and hypertension. I think they're very much connected.
And if you're raising your kids on food, like quality food, that's the kind of food they're going to want. They still want the junk food once in a while, but I can tell my daughters have a high standard for food,
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
My 22-year-old, she's raised with clean organic food, and she now is at school in Denver, and she still does her organic grocery. Like, she has a roommate. She's like, Mom, you can clearly tell my side of the fridge and his side of the fridge. Like, she is a clean organic. She still makes her food all from scratch, and she's on her own. She definitely could have switched back to that easier lifestyle to buy quick, easy food. And it's embedded in her, it's the way she was raised, and she's still eating clean and organic. And when she goes on her little spats and doesn't, she's like, oh, Mom, I messed up. Like, it really affects their gut and they just don't feel good. And so she sticks to it.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you now have a holistic wellness business. So tell me more about that, and what was your inspiration to start it?
I am so excited about this. Joelle, obviously my inspiration. I actually started a small organic skincare company this past year. So I've been making our body butter, our lotion for him since he was a little boy. Started with reading the back of Johnson Johnson Lavender Nighttime ingredients and not understanding most of the ingredients that were in there, and then Googling them, and then being in awe of the potential risks, the toxins, because what you put on your skin literally soaks into your bloodstream. So I started making organic skincare. So we make an organic body butter. We make a sunscreen with like 7 ingredients. It's mineral based. It's all edible organic ingredients. And then we also make a clean bug balm. So that was like a little company I started this February, and it's been doing great. You'll find it on Etsy, you'll find it on social media. It's Sun y Alma, and Alma, ALMA, is soul in Spanish. So Sun and Soul Naturals. And then this past year, a girlfriend from work asked me to talk to her aunt. She was going through some health stuff. And I was like, sure, she knows I practice holistically with family and friends and my lifestyle. And I was like, sure, would love to talk to her. And I get on the phone and we go through everything and go through blood work and go through symptoms. I mean, we're on the phone for like ever, just trying to figure out. And at the end of the conversation, she had a plan, a step, and what we were going to be doing next. And I remembered before losing my husband tragically that I always wanted to have a wellness practice, but I felt like I was so lost in my grief. I felt like I kind of had lost that drive and passion for it. And this conversation sparked it all over again. I thought to myself, I love this. I love healing people. I love supporting people, encouraging people, and giving people a guide on what to do next. What are the steps? I think a lot of people want to get healthy. They want to do something that isn't pills every day. They just don't know how to go buy it or how to do it or what the steps are. And so I sat down and came up with Sunny Alma Wellness, and I came up with the protocol. It's like a 4-phase protocol. And the first phase is just kind of like reeling everything back and kind of taking a look at everything. We start eliminating coffee, we start eliminating alcohol, we start eliminating sugars, we start eliminating processed foods. We look at your sleep pattern, we look at mind, body, and soul. Like, I believe you need to address all three to do a complete, holistic healing. So we start looking at your, mental health and your trauma and your story. We integrate, I'm working with you, integrating that Reiki healing, integrating chiropractic health, integrating yoga, meditation, grounding, journaling. So phase 0 is just all like literally setting up a foundation to then move on to the next step. Depending on there'll be very extensive questionnaire. It's like 400 plus questions. And then we do very extensive lab work. And I look at lab work in a very different way. You go to your PCP, and as long as it's not in the red, it's normal. You're fine. And that's not true. There is optimal ways of functioning. And like, you get your thyroid test and they're like, oh, everything looks fine. It's normal. Well, it's low normal. So that means we could optimize this. We can be functioning at a better level with this. And that's kind of the way I look at all of your blood work and labs. So we'll look at all that. And once we talk about your goals, your ailments, your diagnoses, we come up with a plan, like particularly designed for you, for each individual. And we talk about detoxing at a cellular level, which normally, depending on your toxic load, or we're talking about heavy metals, mycotoxins, which are like mold toxins, it could be anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks. And that once we are done and we bind it and got everything out, we do a parasite cleanse. And then we start building your gut microbiome. We start building up all the good stuff in your gut, because a lot of people don't know that your immune system, 80% of your immune system sits right in your gut. So we start, healing your gut. We start introducing good bacteria and building up your microbiome. And then the very last stage is lifelong changes, like making sure that your home is set up for success. So either I can consult with you or even go into your home and we can do like a pantry reset, a bathroom medicine reset, and just go through all the things that are creating daily toxins in you, making sure we're getting rid of them and finding alternatives so you continue to live this organic, healthy, holistic lifestyle.
That's awesome. And so you obviously are also working with clients online, right?
Correct. I've met clients one-on-one here in Charleston that can work with clients online.
That's awesome. So what's your website and how can people contact you?
So my website is under construction, but they can still go to it and give me their information and I can reach out to them. It is www.sun, SUNEY, Alma, ALM.com. And my email is elizabeth@sunnyalma.com. So if you want to reach out, I'm also on social, on Instagram, and on Facebook.
Yeah, so all that information is going to be in the show notes. So any final words that we need to know? Any advice you'd like to give our listeners?
I want to give your listeners three, and this is what I tell my active patients right now. There's three small changes you can do to get started on this organic lifestyle or making these holistic changes, really small things. And I tell my patients this as they walk out the door, because like I said, I practice general surgery and I always give my little TED talk or soapboxes to some of these patients. And one of the things is moving every day. Movement, 30 minutes outside. Getting outside for 30 minutes a day is imperative. It will completely change your life. Vitamin D, the sun, being outside, grounding, it is crucial to your body. And then eliminating processed foods slowly if you need to, but as fast as you can, just getting away from the processed foods. And then my last piece of advice is water. Drinking water. Stop the soda, stop the green, stop the sweet tea. It's just there's no nutritional value in any of those things. Mountain Dew is a huge thing here in the South. There's no nutritional value in any of those things. So I always tell my patients, you should be drinking at least your body weight, half of your body weight in ounces. So if you're 200 pounds, you should be drinking 100 ounces of water a day, and clean water. Try your best not to drink water out of plastic. There's microplastics in that. I tell my clients, yes, exactly. Squeeze some lemon in your water and also put micronutrients in your water. So I use Celtic sea salt. I just take a little bit of Celtic sea salt and sprinkle it in there, and it has tons of micronutrients. So you can drink water all day, but if there are no nutrients in that water, you're not really helping yourself. You're not really staying hydrated. So
Yeah.
those are like my biggest first three tips: movement, at least 30 minutes, drinking water, and eliminating processed foods.
Yeah, I spent 4 hours at the beach on Tuesday. You lose a lot of water in the sun. And so I came home, head was feeling kind of achy, and I took a pinch of Celtic salt and just put it in my mouth, to regain the
Yes,
salt and
yeah,
minerals. Yeah.
that's exactly what everyone should be doing that, especially if we're spending that much time outside. And spending that much time outside is imperative. Like getting your vitamin D, I think it's like 36% of the nation is deficient of vitamin D. So if you're not out in the sun getting it, it's usually between 9 and 5. Like you should be supplementing with a good source of vitamin D.
Yeah. So what would be a good source of supplements? Are there any brands that you recommend?
I do. I love Design for Health is a brand that I love to use for supplements. I also love using Herbafarm. I also love using Systemic Formulas. Love their collagen at Systemic Formulas. They have different options. Actually, I have a once my website's up and running, I will have a supplement store where people can actually go in and see the recommendations I have for supplements. And if people have questions, just shoot me an email and I'm happy to kind of like send you in the right path and in the right direction. And I actually have a discount, a 20% discount on my full scripts for any of my clients or patients, so they can get supplements right from full scripts from over like 700 brands. But I usually highlight the brands that I prefer.
Yeah. And the first one was designed for what?
Design for Health.
For health. Yeah.
Yeah, Design for Health is a good one. Herbafarm is a really good one. I like Systemic Formulas. Pendulum is really good. Trying to think. There's another one that I really like to use, and I can't think of the top of my head. But again, if any of your viewers have questions or need, directions in the right path, just shoot me an email or get online, and I'm happy to help.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in vitamin D and vitamin K because not only we need that to fight infections and viral infections, but it's good for EMF, our
It's
exposure to EMF, and it
yeah,
helps with that too.
yeah. Well, vitamin D is vital to your immune system and your neural system. So your brain and your gut. It's vital. So vitamin D is super important, and most Americans are deficient of it.
Yeah, well, they made us scared of the sun. So the sun is actually good for you. I also heard something new lately. I don't know if you've heard this, but that you need to be, when you're in the sun, don't take a shower right away when you come in. So your skin is still kind of absorbing that vitamin D. Have you heard that?
I've never heard that, but I agree with you. They did make us scared of the sun. And it's sad because the sun is medicine. The sun is what gives the planet we live on life. And it's
Yes.
not. So what I tell people, being out in the sun every day, cover your face and your neck. So I use my sunscreen. My sunscreen is like 35 plus. I put it on my face and my neck, and you can tell the difference between my body and my face because I sunscreen my face and my neck, and then I'm out soaking up the sun. And what I don't wear sunglasses. So you have receptors in your eyes. And if you wear sunglasses, though they're not reading the how much sun you're getting, they think you're in a darker environment. So your little pores, these little receptors all over your skin will stay wide open. So if you actually take your sunglasses off, it regulates these little sensors all over your body, which will regulate to how much sun exposure you're getting. So I always tell people, don't wear sunglasses when you're out sunning. Cover your face and your neck, but literally expose the rest of your body to the sun. It's healing. It's medicine.
Yep, I just posted recently, I don't know if you saw it on Facebook, that I believe the ocean is medicine because you have the sunshine, you have a salted bath right there that you can get in that releases toxins, and you're
100%.
grounding at the same time.
Like I said, I go to the beach almost every single morning that I can to start my day. I believe I moved here because of the beach. Like when I was lost in my grief, I
Mhm.
came here 2 days before Thanksgiving. It was going to be our first holiday without my husband. And I went to Folly Beach. And the minute I was there, it was the first time I felt like I could breathe. And I
Mhm.
looked at my kids and I was like, we're moving. And they're like, what? And I'm like, I think this is where I need to be to heal. And when we first moved here, Tina, I was at the beach every single, even if I worked, I would come home, change, and go sit at the beach for at least an hour. I think, between Reiki, between you, between being out on the beach and grounding, between journaling, between psychotherapy, and between dance therapy, those five modalities is what healed helped me start my healing path because I feel like healing is an everyday process. But it definitely got me from being lost in my grief to thriving again.
Yeah, dance really helped me through grief too. I don't know if you know this, but my father passed away when I was 18. And that was right around high school graduation. And I was starting college and in New York City. So I ended up going dancing like 3 nights a week.
I
And I think that's how I worked through my grief, honestly, was through that movement.
I believe it definitely helped me heal. And I didn't even think about it. My therapist at the time, Valerie, she's like, what brings you joy? What do you love doing? And I was like, being out in the sun, the beach, dancing. She's like, when's the last time you went dancing? And I was like, I couldn't even remember. She's like, start dancing again. And I found this amazing teacher. I was so fearful leaving my house at the time. He would come here to my house and we would do dance lessons here at the house. And he was such a huge part of my healing process. Yeah, I think movement, dancing, music, it is very healing.
That was one of the reasons why I moved here too, was the beach, because in Virginia, I had to drive 4 hours to the beach. And in the DC metro area, how bad the
The
traffic
traffic
is.
is.
And I felt landlocked there. I was like, oh, here's the Potomac, but nobody can get in it.
Nobody wants to get in it.
Yeah, you don't get in it, you'll drown, the currents and everything. So yeah, that was one of the reasons why I wanted to be closer to the ocean.
Well,
So
you made a great choice. We love living in Charleston and being this close to the ocean. It's a blessing.
yeah. So all of Elizabeth's information will be in the show notes if you want to contact her or you need any advice on anything, organic products, supplements, all of it. And thank you for being on the show, Elizabeth.
Thank you for having me. And just like a reminder to parents who are mothering or parenting autistic children, there is hope, there is light, there is healing. And just reach out, share your stories, and I pray for you all every night. I know how difficult it is to parent I hate special needs, but a special needs kid, but there is hope.
Yes, there is. And that's why I started the podcast, because there's so many stories like yours that bring hope, things that are working, that are natural and holistic. And so that's why I started the podcast.
Well, I appreciate you starting it, and I appreciate you dearly for helping me start my healing process. Thanks, Tina.
Thank you.